What if the thing traumatizing your dog is you? Not a stranger, not an accident, not a bad experience from before you adopted him. You. And the most disturbing part of what scientists have uncovered, the behaviors causing the deepest psychological damage, aren't the obvious ones. They're not abuse. They're not neglect. They are the everyday moments, the routines, the habits that millions of loving dog owners repeat every single day, completely unaware of the invisible wounds they're leaving behind. This isn't about blame. This is about the truth your dog has never been able to tell you. And once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. 1. Forcing socialization, the trauma disguised as kindness. You see another dog at the park. You think, this is great for him. He needs to socialize. So you pull him toward the other dog. He resists. He tries to back away. Maybe he tucks his tail. Maybe he freezes completely. And you keep pulling because you believe you're helping. You're not. What you're doing has a clinical name: flooding. And it is one of the most psychologically damaging things you can do to a fearful animal. A 2020 study published in Scientific Reports found that dogs subjected to forced exposure to fear-inducing stimuli without the ability to escape showed significantly elevated cortisol levels, increased anxiety behaviors, and long-term sensitization. Meaning, the fear didn't go away. It got worse. Forcing a terrified dog into a social situation doesn't teach him the world is safe. It teaches him that you, his only protector, will not protect him when he's scared. That betrayal, repeated enough times, reshapes how a dog relates to the world around him. 2. Yelling. What it actually does to the brain. When your dog does something wrong and you raise your voice, you believe you're communicating. You're not communicating. You're activating a threat response. Inside your dog's brain, a loud, angry voice triggers the amygdala, the brain's fear processing center, in exactly the same way a predator threat would. A landmark 2017 study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior by Gal Ziv reviewed decades of research on aversive training methods and concluded that dogs trained with punishment, including shouting, showed measurably higher levels of stress behaviors, fear responses, and anxiety compared to dogs trained with positive reinforcement. But a 2021 study in Current Biology took this further. Researchers used fMRI scans to examine what happens inside dogs' brains when they hear emotionally negative human vocalizations. The results were striking. Dogs showed clear activation in brain regions associated with threat detection and fear processing when exposed to angry or distressed human voices. Your dog doesn't hear your words. He hears danger. And when danger comes from the person he loves most, the psychological damage is compounded in ways science is only beginning to understand. 3. Isolation and boredom. The silent psychological crisis. Here is a number that should disturb you. 8 hours. That is the average amount of time a dog spends alone every day in a typical working household. Dogs are not solitary animals. They are deeply social creatures whose nervous systems evolved over 15,000 years of constant human contact and companionship. A 2016 study published in Physiology and Behavior found that dogs left alone for extended periods showed significantly elevated cortisol levels that did not return to baseline even after reunion with their owners. The stress, in other words, lingered long after the owner came home feeling relieved. But isolation alone isn't the full picture. Research from the University of Bristol found that dogs without adequate mental stimulation develop chronic stress responses that manifest as compulsive behaviors, excessive licking, repetitive pacing, and destructive chewing. Behaviors most owners interpret as personality quirks rather than distress signals. Your dog isn't bored in the way you get bored watching a slow movie. He is experiencing a form of psychological deprivation that, over time, can permanently alter his stress response system. None of this makes you a bad owner. It makes you human, acting on instincts and assumptions that no one ever challenged, Because the dog was always there, always wagging, always returning to your side no matter what. But that loyalty, that unconditional, unwavering loyalty, is exactly what makes this so important to understand. Your dog will never leave you over this. He will never hold it against you. He will wake up tomorrow and choose you again, even if yesterday hurt him. That is the weight of what he gives you every single day. And now that you know what science has spent decades uncovering, you have something he never had with you.